another edition of Improvement Roulette, where we help small businesses make their processes better, safer, faster, and more efficient by looking at some random business improvement tools. So each day at random, we choose a business improvement tool and we choose a small business, and we go ahead and we do an activity where we look at applying that tool within that small business. I'm Amanda Zimmerman. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and I've been doing this for a little over a decade, helping businesses all over the world make their processes better, safer, faster, and more efficient. Now, today we chose a SWOT analysis and a tour guiding company. So we'll get to the tour guiding company in just a minute. But the SWOT analysis, I think for me, has been a great reminder of a tool that all of us should be using. I don't care if you have an Etsy shop. I don't care if you have a contractor, if you're selling soaps, if you're selling whatever you're selling. This is an absolutely essential activity for you. It's a great way for you to be very strategically minded. I think with a lot of small businesses, when we get going, we get very caught up in the marketing and the sales, and we don't always appreciate our strategy, which really includes making sure that we're showing value to our customers. So the SWOT analysis is a great way for us to understand where we're at in our marketplace, what our positioning is, who we want to be, and why we're different than some of our competitors. It's almost like a competition analysis light, right? So you get kind of a free few other things when you complete it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the SWOT analysis. I know you have it right here, but we're going to, right there, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. So a SWOT analysis is made up of four things: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, strengths and opportunities are going to be things that are helpful. So they're going to be more on the positive side, whereas our weaknesses and threats are going to be harmful. So they're going to be more of maybe the negative things that we are looking at. Strengths and weaknesses are going to be internally focused. So internal to the organization or the business. Whereas opportunities and threats are going to be external. Those are going to be focused on maybe the wider market. So that's why you really get such a lovely broad view. For me, this is also something that I think helps to reduce overwhelm. So if you feel like you have 800 things going on right now, how do I know which to focus on? What do I, what direction do I go? This really helps us to narrow that down and get a little bit more focused so that your marketing, your other activities are really going to have a step-by-step direction that you're taking them. And you're starting to unlock some of those markets that really have a lot of potential for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. So let's take a look here, strengths. So this is where we're going to be asking about what are your organizational strengths, what's going really, really well right now, what do people like about your product or service. Now, I said today we are going to be talking about a tour guiding company. So I went ahead as a traveler. This is something that I have maybe a lot of personal experience in, not necessarily running a travel company, but going on tours, seeing how tour guiding businesses are operating, right? So I went ahead and I took a look at Cape Town. So if we look here at Cape Town and we look at some of the reviews of the different tour guides there, here we have Clive. He has a lot of really excellent reviews, so a great percentage there of excellent reviews. But on the negative side, he has some here that say maybe people are a little bit bored, lots of great jokes. So we can go ahead and look at things like this and kind of get an idea of this organization, of what's going on. If we look at another tour guide, we can see here, this one actually takes people to the Cape of Good Hope. So it's a very specific tour. And we can see here the informative and fun to travel with. We can see other things with these tour guides. He was able to be a driver, informative, and photograph. So those are some of the positive qualities. So when we look at our strengths, maybe one of your organizational strengths is that you come up first on TripAdvisor. That's certainly an organizational strength. What's going really well right now? Getting a lot of positive reviews. Now, if you want a copy of this template, it is in the link. So you can feel free to go ahead and get this template so that you can do this for your own business. What do customers say they like about your product or service, right? So we know from some of those reviews we just looked at for this tour guide, they were informative. They were, excuse my dishwasher going off in the background. They were informative. They had photography skills, right? That was something that was a huge positive. What do your customers say they like about your product or service? So we got some of those down. What systems or processes are running effectively? So this might go into more detail about your personal business, right? What processes are running well? Well, maybe it's going really well assigning the tour guide to each tour. So maybe you're not having any trouble making sure that you get those connections showing up. Maybe arriving on time is going really well. So you're not getting any complaints on that. Financial strengths, maybe you have healthy cash reserves, so you can float your business for a certain period of time before you would have some concerns about it going under. What sets you out as different in your industry? So this might be, maybe you have luxury cars that you offer as a tour guide. So you have luxury cars that take people out. Maybe you have a focus on community and connections to local suppliers or shops, right? So maybe you have some kind of special connection. And we looked at some of that feedback, right? So this gives us some ideas of the things that we're doing well. Now, in all likeliness, we want to keep doing these things well, right? So when we think about what do we want to change, we always want to consider what do we want to keep the same. So we want to highlight some of those strengths there so that we make sure that we don't make changes that are going to lose some of that. Now, what are some of your weaknesses? Maybe some of our weaknesses right now are limited languages spoken. So you can take out people that speak English, but your German or Russian or some of those maybe are weaker languages, or you don't have as many tour guides that could take people out for that. What are your organizational weaknesses? What's not going well? I imagine with COVID, things are quite up and down. COVID restricts access to our office. I would imagine that's something that's happening right now and is having a negative impact on the business. What do your customers say they don't like about your product or service? So some of the customers may have said things like they did in the reviews, boring. I got bored. It was maybe too much driving. Another complaint I see a lot with tour guide companies is too many queues or too much waiting, right? There's too much waiting. You drive all this distance. You've got such a big bus. There's so many people. It takes a long time to get in and out of the vehicle. Or waiting on other tourists. What do your customers say they don't like? What systems and processes are not running well? Well, maybe some of the things that aren't running well are the car reliability. Maybe the vehicles are breaking down frequently. Maybe that's an issue that you're having to deal with. Maybe it's expensive to do the repairs. So you've got these great cars that are some of the reasons you are unique, but it's also one of the reasons that you have some weaknesses in your organization. What are your financial troubles? So inconsistent tourism due to COVID. So 1 month, maybe we're able to operate. The next month, maybe we're not. Moving to online resources is not as lucrative as expected, right? So we tried to move online and it didn't work out. What's negative? So like what sets you out in your industry that might be negative? So maybe you have something where maybe you lack diversity. whereas other tours are offering more diverse options to people, maybe more diverse tour guides, like we talked about with the languages, maybe also in destinations. Maybe you only have like 2 destinations and you don't do some of the other tours that other people do. Maybe you don't do the Cape of Good Hope. So that would be a weakness. Now let's look at external, because a lot of that, or all of that, was really focused internally. And again, you can do this whether you have an Etsy shop, whether you have a brick and mortar store, whether you're a giant organization. I've done this, really big organizations, or whether you're just a solopreneur on your own at home. Everybody has the chance to do this, and this can be a really big benefit to your organization and to getting that vision so that you're always moving in that same direction. So let's talk about the wider market. So what are some of the opportunities open within the market? Well, maybe there are new opportunities to visit whale heritage sites. So this is a new thing that is available in the world. So there's a new whale heritage site in South Africa. So maybe you want to highlight that you can take people to see the whales, to these whale heritage sites. Can you take advantage of anything new going on in the market? So maybe when COVID reopens the country, specific countries start traveling there. And maybe you want to target your advertising to those countries, right? So if you know that maybe Russia is going to have more tourists coming this year than people in the EU, you might want to adjust your advertising to catch some of those Russian tourists. Are there markets you haven't tapped into? So this might be, let's say, if you have a tourism guide, maybe sustainability is something that you haven't played with. So maybe community engagement or events. So maybe specific tours that are unique for that specific day. What are your competitors doing that you could do better? So we already talked about maybe speaking more languages. So Russian, German guides. This would be something that would help to set you apart. It would expand your market, especially if you wanted to start targeting the different types of tourists that might be coming. Is there a need for your product or service? So maybe within your service, maybe one of the things that are challenging right now is getting food if things are closing and opening. So maybe one of the benefits of your service is that all food is catered, right? So this is an opportunity that you could take advantage of, is increasing the amount of food that's catered that they could maybe take home with them as well. Because maybe after they leave your place, things are closed, they can't really access these different places that used to be accessible. Marketing opportunities you could leverage. So maybe you haven't done TikTok, right? Maybe you want to get onto TikTok. Are there government benefits available? Maybe there is a grant from TripAdvisor that you haven't applied for, right? So this gives you an idea of an opportunity you can take with that. Now let's look at our threats. So again, external things that could cause our business to work or not work, right? So are there any competitors? So we could say, you know, Joe's Travel Guiding is targeting our market, right? Is going after our customers. So that might be something that's threatening our business. Larger things like COVID restrictions going up and down. So one of the things that we didn't add in the others is we may have an opportunity to have smaller tours, right? Maybe we used to have tours that were really big, and now we want to have tours that are only like 2 or 3 people, right? So more personalized tour experiences. So that could be a huge shift for our business, but it's a huge opportunity, right? So we don't want to miss it. So are there any consumer behaviors that are changing? So this is another really great question, right? Are there things about our consumers that are changing? So maybe our consumers, it's kind of in that same marketing vein, like video over meme or stagnant advertising. So meme or photography, right? So maybe we need to do more video ads. How do we do more video ads out there? That's something that's changing with consumers. Maybe you did a tour that was controversial, that now it's controversial to the point that you really shouldn't be doing it, right? It's actually a negative on you. So we'll just say, we won't say the types of tours that might be controversial. We'll just say controversial tour, possibly stop going to that location, right? Maybe there's a place, or maybe it's like shark diving, or maybe it's like with the whales, maybe it's a practice or a group that you connect with that is not respecting some of the expectations around cetacean life or restrictions. Let's see, is your product or service still relevant? Does your product or service threaten sustainability? So that's in that same vein of what I was talking about. So maybe partnerships that are with, we'll just say again, controversial other tour companies. Maybe tax laws are changing, right? Is that something that's going to have an effect on your business? Are you changing your market share? So maybe you had a huge part of the market share when we had 50-person buses, but now that we have 2 or 3 people in each of our tours, maybe your market share has changed, right? Market share decreased and large groups decreased, right? So now we have that opportunity here to maybe cater to the smaller individual clients. Now that could also help us maybe to make more money depending what we're charging those clients, right? So now you have this huge overarching view of your organization, right? Your business, you now understand all these different pieces about your business, and you can focus on a few of these to work on. Now, one of the things that I really want to caution you about is not trying to do something for each of these. Don't try to make this strength like a bigger thing and it's awesome and I want to really unlock the power in that, or I'm going to address every threat on here. Don't do that. It's too much. You can't do it. Pick maybe 1 to 2 that you're going to really, really focus on, right? Each month, pick maybe 1 or 2 that you're really going to focus on and move forward, and have specific goals within that. Now I say 1 to 2 because that really means 3 to 5 is what you're going to end up picking. But I'm going to say 1 to 2 and do those well and move those forward, and you're going to see benefits to your organization. Now, let's see, let me go ahead and adjust here the screen so I can stop sharing that. But now I want to be able to see you. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the people that tuned in today, and we'll keep doing this tomorrow and for the month of April. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the SIPOC diagram. So supplier input, process, output, customer diagram. This is another thing that's really great for businesses across the board to just understand how their processes are performing and what are the outputs of those processes. So even in that SWOT that we just did, you can see how those different processes, those different things that you focused in on, are actually affecting or not affecting your outputs, what you're trying to achieve. So if you're talking about a marketing plan, is video actually having a bigger impact than photography in your marketing, right? That's something that we could talk about being able to see. And then we can go ahead and do that tomorrow for a spa. So like a massage spa company, we'll go ahead and look at one of their processes to be able to talk about how that's working. As always, we are going to mark down our safety cross here so that we can see our progress continuing day over day. It's a great, easy way for us to see how we're doing. Anybody that called in or that talks to me can see, hey, Amanda, are you actually achieving whatever goal is back there, right? So thank you so much for tuning in. I know today was a longer tutorial because I wanted to give the time to the SWOT analysis that it deserved. But look, within 15 minutes of this was really focused on doing that analysis. So in 15 minutes, you could have all of that benefit for your organization. How awesome is that? So easy, so quick. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope today you were able to get just a little bit better based on our tutorial. And I hope that you don't have to work so hard tomorrow. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.